I'm Daniel Smith with the Daily Kingfish, the official state blog of the state of Louisiana for the 2008 DNC. Right now I'm joined with Athenae, who writes for First Draft, and she has been covering issues related to New Orleans and Hurricane Katrina and Rita for the last 3 years. So basically, first I'd like to ask you, what is your impression so far of the coverage and the consciousness, I guess, of the storms and of New Orleans recovery here at the convention?
Well, as I said yesterday, I'm surprised by, and pleasantly so, by how much awareness there is of Gulf Coast recovery and of what's still needing to be done down there. Technically, it's our blog that's been covering. It's mostly my partner, Scout, who's been doing most of the coverage from New Orleans since pretty much right after the storm. And it's a story that kind of fell off not only the national media radar, but also the national blog radar. And there was a lot of discussion right after the storm of, this is going to be our second New Deal. This is going to be the rebuilding of the South. Is going to be our American cause. And I think in a lot of cases, because there wasn't the follow-up from the leadership that we expected, a lot of people backed off the story. And what I think is happening here is we're starting to focus in on it a little bit more and say, there's still an awful lot to be done here. In fact, almost everything to be done here. And what can we do as Democrats to really renew a sense of community and to make this a mission for America?
Right. Let's see, the New Orleans bloggers had the Rising Tide convention this past weekend.
Yes.
And I think one thing that came out of it is they had a spirit that they needed to do something viral. They needed to somehow figure out a way to keep it in the national eye.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that? Would you have any advice, for example, for bloggers like Oyster and others as to what they can continue to do to keep the story going?
I would never presume to give Oyster advice. Never, never, never. I think to keep the story going, I think what continually draws people in is seeing it and really the imagery. I know when I went down there the first time, it's one thing to hear about, there's this many houses that still have to be repaired. There's this much land that needs to be reclaimed, but when you see it, when you see the faces of the people who are fighting for this place and who care about it and love it, I would say, in terms of advice, there's no better advocate than for New Orleans than the bloggers who have been living and working there and fighting for their homes. Their story's an inspiration to me, and it should be an inspiration to every American.
So, what has been the impression of people, especially bloggers, national bloggers that you've spoken with here at the convention, about what they can do or about what the nation needs to do to address this issue?
I haven't really talked to a huge number of the national bloggers about this yet, but I think what has to happen is that, what we do is to create an opportunity for our leaders to speak out. We suggest, we push, we say, hey, look, this needs some action, or this is wrong, or this is... And that goes pretty far, but it only goes so far. And I think when this will become a national priority again is when our leaders really do recognize that they need to pick this up and run with it. And I think it's our job to push them to do that.
What type of action do you think is necessary, or do you think that's still
I've heard a lot of ideas in the last couple of days. The Gulf Coast Civic Works idea and HR 4048, which would essentially recreate the WPA and the PWA for Gulf Coast recovery, which is something that I've been screaming about since 3 days after the storm. I would love to see something like that happen. And Speaker Pelosi has said this bill needs 100 co-sponsors. Well, let's get it 100 co-sponsors and make her listen. Let's encourage our senators and our congressmen to co-sponsor this bill. There's no risk here. There's no downside to helping your fellow Americans.
That's great. I appreciate your time. Again, it's Athenae from firstdraft.com. Good luck with the rest of the year.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.